Well, why don't we just do the talk on the electronic badge now? If I can figure out where I put the little clicky thingy. I'll bet mine works. I'm kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Bear in the back of the room, always a smart ass. Sorry about that. Is that better, Lee? And Lee's phone number is... So, you've seen Duplicity. We also have Hacker Jeopardy. Who's heard of Hacker Jeopardy from DEF CON? Okay. Hacker Jeopardy from DEF CON is the... There you go. You know what? Same deck of questions. No problem. We're doing Hacker Jeopardy this year. It is the same Hacker Jeopardy from DEF CON. G. Mark Hardy, Wen Schwartow, the two guys that run it every year, brought it to SkyDogCon this year. We're changing roles. He's the AV geek? No? He's not. He's what? He's going to be Vinyl Vanna. All righty then. Wen in a skirt. That would be interesting. I would trust him with a skirt more than a computer. So we're doing the Hacker Jeopardy. More stuff is going to be coming out about that. We're also, we have Hackers for Charity. They have a booth over in the vendor area. Who's heard of Hackers for Charity? Okay, all right. Johnny Long and his crew, stop in and check in with them. Johnny is actually in Uganda, and he's doing some mission work. He actually puts in internet cafes, essentially, for the people there to be able to further their knowledge, and he's done some really wonderful things. He was supposed to be here with us, but there's this whole huge plane flight, it takes a day and a half or whatever to fly here. Yes, that's what I hear, and it's wet, too. So he's had a lot of things going on, so we couldn't quite get him here. He'll be with us via Skype, I believe, on Sunday morning. But until then, if you'll stop in and check out what we've got in the Hackers for Charity area, that would be wonderful. As I understand, the vendor area is open. The Lockpick Village is open downstairs also. And I believe we're setting up all the cool gear for the expo stuff. So, the electronic badge. You've met me. I'm SkyDog. This is my partner in crime, Sachin Paranjupe. He's the one who's really responsible for all of this. No, we were drinking with you, Billy. Little friend. Beep. Shit. So. They walk in, and I've got a hot air reflow system on top of the bedspread, and I'm working on something like, is that safe? Currently, yes. Yeah, when fire breaks out, it will no longer be safe.
Well, I like that you chose to use the hottest possible equipment on the most flammable thing in the room. We can do this on the desk. No, let's do this on the linens.
We can throw that little faggy drink you were drinking last night on it to put it out, though, Billy.
I'm drinking one right now.
Yes, you are. So, we'll give you a little rundown on the electronic badge.
He's not speaking without umbrellas.
Last year, this was our electronic badge. This is actually unpopulated. That's why it looks somewhat unremarkable, but it is a blank. We have some of these downstairs, or we'll have them in the hardware hacking area, that if you want to sit down and figure out how to do surface mount components and flash it with the boot system and everything like that. I've got about 20 of them, I believe, that people can mess with. It's a lot of fun. So here's our my partner in crime here actually playing Space Invaders while we were trying to work on something. He said he was testing the board out, but I think it's all bullshit. There's actually 3 people to this project. Myself, who was the one being the jerk about telling him what I wanted. Sachin, who is actually the board designer. And we have another gentleman named Rias, or is Chris Samuelson. He actually did the design of the board, not the layout. He did the hardware design. So I think it was in February we sat down and said, hey, let's do an electronic badge. And last year at 2 a.m. we were flashing the firmware onto the badges that Rias emailed me from wherever he was. And we said, if we're going to do this again, let's start early. Take note of that. So February or so, we're sitting around and said, hey, let's come up with a badge. Sachin works for Vanderbilt, and he does the human body interface type thing. He'll tell you exactly what that is. But we said, what would be the most interesting, cool badge we could do? And it was, let's make something with a digital signal processor that will act as an EKG. Who thinks it's really, really cool? Okay, well, I'm glad we didn't do that one. Shit. All right, anyway. So basically, we sat down and I said, that would be awesome. Let's put one together. So for the technical breakdown.
So then this happened. So we started designing, and you know, it was a innovative design. It had never been done before at other cons, so we thought it'd be super cool to do this for this con. And then we actually started designing it and trying to get the parts for it. So we tried to contact TI to get a price break on the processor, because just the price of the processor was going to eat up most of the cost of the badge. And nobody, it was a brick wall. We couldn't get anybody that would talk to us. So
You work at Texas Instruments on the SkyDog later.
yes. So we had, yeah. So being that we were trying to do something that was meant to be a wearable badge that could also do EKG and tell you what your heart rate was, maybe even output a signal, we determined it was going to take a really long time, and time we didn't have. So between the time and how prohibitively expensive it was going to be, we decided to go to another design, less complicated design.
So we came up with something different. It was the second badge. Now, if you'll take note, there's actually a movie here. It's 36 Charlie-plexed LEDs, and it has an OLED display, and it played Connect 4 over infrared, which we thought might be kind of cool. Excellent, excellent. So we don't typically do anything halfway if we can, so we spent some time putting this one together. There were some small problems with it. Just a few. You're looking at one that works, which is really cool. It's not meant to be green. That is a pre-production board that we had done. So part of the problem behind doing something like this is I've taken probably the last 3 or 4 months and done nothing but work every Sunday, sitting in my library, playing on the computer, putting stuff together. It's only because Miss SkyDog will let me do that. A lot of people have regular lives that go on and things happen. So it took some time in between bits and pieces for us to collaborate and get things together. Unfortunately, things started to have a little time compression with different people. Some people would be out sick with the flu for a week and deathly ill and only able to work half the time. Basically, I'm hard to get a hold of from time to time. If you've ever sent me an email, I probably haven't responded to it until you sent it to Mrs. SkyDog. I know, Tripp. Thank you very much. So we spent a heck of a lot of time trying to get this put together and get you something really cool. The problem is this badge was put together about 3 weeks ago. And if anyone who's ever done board design, everyone raise your hand? Okay. To go from something on a piece of paper to this is unbelievably difficult. One, because you have to make sure it works. 2, it's unbelievably expensive to make it happen. And 3, if you're not doing it for a living, it's hard to kind of find the time to do these things. So, let's see. It was cool. It was expensive. 36 Charlie-plexed LEDs on the face of that. It is running the Arduino Leonardo, which is the newest version. It has USB built in. It also has some outputs on it and things like that that are on a different version. But everything that you see there would allow you to play Connect 4 between 2 people, keep score, allow you to update, extend the information out and display it on the screen so you could know what your ranking was, on top of having an OLED display and the ability to output a TV signal in black and white and play Space Invaders. We may have shot a little high on that one. The joke about this is the $1,000 board. Between the time it took to put things together, the development environment, all the bits and pieces and everything we had to put together, this board was $1,000, which I was okay with because that was just too cool. The problem was we were 3 weeks away from a conference where we had to have a badge that worked, and we had no time to test it. So, unfortunately, we punted and did not do this one. So, Sachin and I happened to get together and say, well, I can't afford a badge that has $15 in parts on it, plus the board cost, plus actually having a computer put it together or a robot put it together, because you don't want me soldering something like this together. It's a terrible job. So because of that, we decided not to do this one because of the cost and the time available. So we went to something different. And we said, okay, let's do something really simple, the development environment you can hand to somebody and they can reprogram. Who's messed with the Texas Instruments MSP 430? Okay, that's why that project is failing. It's unbelievably difficult to mess with and very obscure. Has anyone heard of the Arduino? Thank you very much. That's why it's the core of what we're working on. So, unfortunately, we ended up having to abandon the EKG that ran on the MSP. We went to the Arduino and we said, let's make something simple. And Sachin said, what do you think simple is? So we got something that would do some basic Charlie plexing, so that you could play around with, some push buttons, and the output to the TV. You guys could figure something out. So, the technical part.
So with the third badge, you know, with this one, what we discovered, since we'd not done an actual assembly run on a board before, because last year they actually put all the surface mount components on by hand, which they promised themselves never to do again, for good reason. So we decided to actually have the boards assembled this year. So when, like he was saying, when you figure in the cost of manufacturing the PCB and then populating it with parts, this one was just prohibitively expensive. So we decided to try to reduce part count to try to still come up with something cool but affordable. And so we came up with another design that was less expensive, lower part count, but ultimately it didn't have the cool factor. So that prompted another board design.
And this is now the fourth design. This little device is why this part of my hair is gray and this part is bald. This is actually the, hey, what do you want it to do? And be reasonable if you don't mind, SkyDog. So this board has the Arduino running the AT Mega 328s, last year's chip or whatever. It is much more affordable. It's got a crystal on board, so it's running at 16 megahertz. A lot of this may not make sense to everyone, but I just want to say it, damn it. Down the bottom edge, actually I probably should have rotated that, but the bottom edge actually has 6 LEDs on it that you could address with basic codes. There wasn't any very difficult stuff you had to do. You had 2 push buttons for left and right on the left-hand side, and then a fire button. Hey, what could be simpler than that? And then we had an OLED screen. The idea being, we bought some extra screens. You could buy an expansion pack and actually sit down and put an OLED display on your badge and program it to say whatever you want. Except for Al, we will not let Al say whatever he wants on his badge. I'll give him a microphone, apparently.
Free Al.
Free Al. That's Al, not Al's monster.
Put Al's monster away.
There is also the Uber Cool badge. Who's been to DEF CON? Anytime you go to DEF CON or anything like that, you have the black badge. The black badge is when you actually make some, something crazy happen. You win a contest. If you've ever seen what Lost has done, I think they ought to give you free entry for life and a chauffeur. Some of the crypto contests are unbelievably difficult to do. You end up getting the Uber badge, which gets you entry for life. So we did our own Uber badge. And just to be different, ours is white. got to do something. What can we say? So we sat down and put this together, and it went to the board manufacturer last week. So I'm not saying that we delayed on anything at all, but it was rather interesting to get to that point. So it's basically capable with the LEDs of doing a persistence of vision display. It also has a header to do the output to the TV. It has an ISP header for programming, along with FTDI, which is your serial communication. And we had the expansion kit. This is actually for the Uber badge, a color OLED display. So if you won one of the Uber badges, you could have it programmed to display whatever you liked. It was really, really cool. But there was a small problem. Do you want to do this part?
Yeah.
I'm going to go hide behind the stage.
Yeah, I guess I got to own this one. Between the point where we decided that the second badge was just too expensive and we needed to redesign and scale down, we did the third and fourth badge design in a matter of, what was it, a week and a half?
Yeah.
So from completely working it out, doing the schematic, doing the board layout, everything within a week and a half. And then from there, we started working on sourcing the parts, and then in order to get it off so that it would be here by the time the con started, we had to get it off as fast as possible, which was last week. And so we probably should have paid a little bit more attention, we being me, to what was actually in the board layout. So we learned some important lessons. So the main thing is, if you take anything away from our mistake on this, was if you're doing board design, never, ever, ever, ever use auto route. Auto route is evil.
This one guy in the right noise says, "Oh, you used auto route."
Yeah. So normally, you know, when I'm at work and I'm designing a board, I'll take a month, easy, to check everything, to keep rerouting, adjusting trace widths, moving components around to optimize. So I was trying to squeeze in what I would normally do in a month in a week and a half, and to make a long story short, to make sure we got the badges off in time, I used the auto route, and when we plugged the first one in, we got the smoke test. Yes, wasn't so magical at the time.
It was fun.
Yes.
Interesting.
So then we started looking at the schematic and to see if we did something really stupid, and it turned out we didn't. But when the auto router did its thing, it created shorts, and so never ever ever use auto route.
We actually found the problem at 12:45 this morning. So.
While Billy was sleeping.
Billy, look, you pansy. Billy's like, hey, I know you're busy. Can I borrow some headphones so I can listen to my iPad while I go to sleep?
That's right.
And you got your earphones, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. Pause it. He give him just a second, folks.
We used Eagle. Normally I use Altium Designer because I have a lot more control over it. Yes, it is expensive. It's in the many thousands of dollar range, but you get much better control over it. You don't get this kind of stuff happening. But our board originally was being designed in Eagle, so we just stuck with it so everybody on the team could see it, since not everybody on our team had the Altium on their computer. And you know, lesson learned. It's good if you can't get the pricey software, but just you know, route by hand. Do not use the auto router. So you know, you have to try to learn something from your mistakes. And so, some of the lessons we learned from doing this for next year is, we have, if you're going to do this, create a timetable, stick to the timetable, don't let deadlines slip. And then the biggest thing we learned was controlling our cost, because we didn't realize how much each step of this was going to cost. So, between the part costs, the PCB manufacturing costs, and the cost of the assembly, it just became horrendous. And the other thing that made it horrendous was because we were doing this a week before the con. If you have like a couple of months, it doesn't cost as much per board, but when you're talking about a 2-day turnaround on getting stuff printed and assembled, it's pricey.
It makes FedEx's difference between ground shipping and overnight 8 a.m. delivery. It makes that look silly how expensive it becomes.
Yeah, and just you have to pretty much plan for what your target cost is going to be, and you pretty much have to plan everything around that. For instance, what we didn't realize when we started off on this was that they charge for each type of part that you have on there. So for those of you that have been to DEF CON and in years past, you've seen a badge that looks like it only has maybe like 3 components on it: the processor, maybe an infrared transceiver, and a crystal, and you're going, what the heck, why is it so simple looking? Well, that's why, because every time you add a different part on there, like the LED, a different capacitor, different value resistor, they just keep increasing the cost that they're going to put on the badge, because each one has to be placed by a robot.
So the question everyone's asking is, where's the electronic badge, right? Well, they were delivered. I'll kick you in the slats. So yesterday, we got a FedEx shipment that came in, and at 12:45 this morning-ish, we found a small trace that was dead shorting a 3-volt, 1,300 milliamp battery. So when you plugged it in, a single trace on the board glowed red. It was very spectacular and also heart-wrenching at the same time. So we did find that we could go in and cut a trace, and that problem disappeared. Unfortunately, a couple of LEDs would light up, and we thought, well, it's not really supposed to do that. So at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, Sachin said, I can't stay awake any longer, and I have to drive. And I said, well, why don't you go get some sleep? We'll mess with this in the morning. So currently there is a box full of badges upstairs with some issue that we're trying to get figured out. Unfortunately, we got down to the wire on everything, and we're kind of in that position. So Noid, guess what you might be doing later? Helping us diagnose what a circuit trace is. We've gone through one end of the badge to the other. We did it in a very short period of time, and the reason was this. I've told people we're going to have an electronic badge. It's something I wanted more than anything, and if I want something, I get it. So I also paid for it. The short time to get things spooled up and get them done was expensive, but that's fine with me, because we wanted to have an electronic badge you could hack and do really cool things with. If you're not even into hacking badges and we set it up to do something cool, you could at least go back and go, this is what I did with my weekend, and the lights light up. But on the other hand, it was a lot of fun to put together. Sachin and I spent a lot of time messing with all this stuff. We've, like I said, been working on it since February. Unfortunately, the time crunch of everybody's doing everything caused us, that and the cost of the other badges caused us not to be able to do it. This is still pretty cool, I think. A badge that you can play Space Invaders on and have an OLED display. It's not too bad. We'll go with that.
And when we breadboarded it up, it actually did work.
I have one in my room that does work, I swear. But anyway, somewhere in there's a little bit of a problem. We're going to find out today. Yeah. Come on, Carlo. It was good for you. So we do have badges. We're going to find what the issue is. Everyone who pre-registered, we ask if you're going to pre-register, we gave you a cutoff time, pre-register by whatever Monday it was a couple weeks ago, and then we ordered that many badges. We have the sequential list of everyone who registered through Ticket Leap, and those people get an electronic badge. So I'm going to do everything I can to hold true to my word and give you something cool, hopefully that doesn't burn the traces off of it. Bye. So if you don't mind, I'm very sorry that I can't hand you one when you register today, but we're doing everything we can to make that come together and for you to be able to leave with one if you got into the first block that actually registered. By the way, would you guys please pre-register for your ticket, because we were looking at it 3 weeks ago and going, is okay. Well, we were hoping more people would show up, and then the last 2 weeks we went, holy shit, everyone's showing up. So, but anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and listening to us drone on about this. I'd like a round of applause for Sachin for all the work he did. I drug him through this kicking and screaming, making him do things outside the normal parameters he does things in, and I appreciate everything he's done. I'd like a round of applause for Rios, one of our original designers. He spent a lot of time doing the Connect 4 game. Unfortunately, we got to the point where we couldn't make that one happen, but it's really cool. What can I say?
And one more round of applause for SkyDog.
No. So we've run over a little bit, but GCS 8 and Ginsu are going to be up, and they've been drinking coffee all morning long, so it's probably going to take about 12 minutes to do their talk. So I'm going to clear the stage. Thanks, guys and gals. We appreciate it.
There's also a
Watch this. I'm actually giving